How about that cigar?
How about that cigar?
Well, it's another beautiful Tuesday. It's about 8,000% humidity right now.
8,001.
8,001. Yeah, but who's counting? It's it's a good night. We have a special guest this evening who we will introduce shortly. But it's our favorite night of the week, Tuesday. We love Tuesdays.
Boom.
Garrett brought us some lovely cigars to enjoy this evening. Garrett, tell us about what we're smoking.
We are smoking this year's the Angel's Anvil by Crown Heads, and it is their 2019 TAA offering.
Oh, thank you. It smells like, it just smells wonderful. I'm going to shove it all the way up in there.
Get it in there.
Oh yeah, molasses and Himalayan goat's milk.
Not to be confused with the with the northern Himalayan goats.
It's southern. Yeah, the southern.
It's the southern.
Yeah, southern slopes. So as we speak, Major League Baseball All-Star Game.
It's on right now.
So I really don't know.
I don't know the score.
So I am not boycotting the MLB All-Star Game because I still love baseball, but I'm disappointed in the league as a whole because the Minnesota Twins just broke the Major League Baseball record for most home runs in a season before the All-Star break.
Yep.
And not one single Minnesota Twin got a nod to be in the home run derby.
I know.
It's just I can't wrap my head around it. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I'm super excited for all the guys that got a nod to go, swing the bat in the home run derby, but the fact that not a single Twin got in there makes no sense to me. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
I mean, it's a collective. The Twins play as a team, and you don't get to breaking a record like that with just one guy, slamming, 30 home runs or 40 home runs before the break. It just doesn't happen. It happens when you get, a dozen here, a dozen there, that kind of thing. But I still would have loved to see one of our Twins get a nod up in there. So as of right now, Twins are 5.5 games up on Cleveland, but guess who we start a series with on Friday?
The Penguins.
Cleveland. The Penguins. Pittsburgh Penguins hockey team. No, so we're only 5.5 games up on Cleveland, and we get to play them starting on Friday in a 3-game series. It's one of those series that we just have to perform well. At least take 2 out of 3.
Absolutely.
We have to win the series, if not sweep it. So let's fire up. So the like Garrett said, these are the 2019 Angel's Anvil from Crown Heads. I apologize, I do not have the blend info in front of me, but the TAA Angel's Anvil releases from Crown Heads, ever since they started releasing them in 2014, have really not been a disappointment any of the years that I can recall. So very excited to fire this up.
It's very bumpy. And those wrappers.
Yeah, that's good right off the bat. It's sweet, tasty, and delicious. So thanks everybody so much for watching as always. If you're listening on the audio podcast, thank you so much. If you would please go ahead and share us with share this broadcast with your favorite Facebook cigar groups. If you're listening on the audio podcast, thanks so much for taking just a moment to subscribe to the podcast and rate us 5 stars if you enjoy what you listen to. Thanks so much. This evening is the dawn of a new day for How About That Cigar. For the first time, we are actually having, instead of doing the Facebook Live broadcast, we're going live on YouTube/Google Hangouts. And for the first time, we have a live on-air guest.
Live one?
Live, not a dead on-air guest. We have an actual live on-air guest. We are so excited to have him with us all the way from Euless, Texas. We would like to welcome to How About That Cigar, Mr. Bear Duplessis from El Oso Fumar Takes. Bear, good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen. I am humbled and honored, with all sincerity, to be your first guest. This is exciting.
Very exciting.
It is exciting. We're glad to have you, man.
And just so you know, you gentlemen are smoking this year's 2019 TAA Angel's Anvil from Crowned Heads. You are enjoying a cigar that is wrapped in a glorious Brazilian Arapiraca wrapper, Ecuadorian Sumatran binder, and Nicaraguan filler, hailing from none other than #1 cigar of the year, Homeland, Ernesto Carrillo Jr.'s factory.
Yes.
Boom.
Thank you for that info. I appreciate that. On the spot, finding that cigar info for us. I appreciate that.
Got your back, bro.
Anything that's coming out of Tabacalera La Alianza from Mr. E.P. Carrillo, it's pretty much got to be good. So I'm in. Count me in.
And Bear, again, we want to thank you for joining us. For those who don't maybe know Bear and his channel, we're going to leave links. Please go and follow him. Check out what he's got going on. He's been in the game for a while doing his thing, and his podcast is fantastic. Matt had the chance to be on his show, a month ago? A couple months ago?
No, it was early on, actually. It was back in, I want to say it was back in February or March. It was early on, and we really appreciate you having us on to, represent this new startup. How about that cigar?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just after the website launched, I think. I don't even know if you guys had done the first episode of the podcast. Pretty sure you hadn't.
We may not have at that point. So the biggest reason, we wanted to have Bear on is because we love what he does. He does great work with El Oso Fumar, his own podcast, and also he works with Will Cooper on the Cigar Coop Primetime Special Edition, and we as How About That Cigar, we were unable to make it to IPCPR this year.
Yep.
Which, for those of you who don't know, IPCPR, at least as of right now, we'll still call it that, and it's the big industry trade show for the premium cigar industry. And since we were not able to go, I asked Bear to come on and give us a rundown of everything happening in the premium cigar world. And there's a lot happening. There's definitely no shortage of things to talk about, because from everything from all the new cigars coming out, which is, as consumers, we want you guys to know about that. But also there is some, things going on in the background that, are definitely making waves in the cigar industry. And God only knows what it's going to lead to and what it's going to turn into in the future. So I'd like to just dive right into talking about this year's trade show, if we could.
You the captain, man. Whatever you need.
So the industry trade show, IPCPR, the International Premium Cigar and Pipe Retailers Association, now is going to be called the PCA, the Premium Cigar Association.
That is correct.
And next year, starting in 2020, that will be the name of the trade show. There are going to be some other additional things that we'll talk about coming up. I want to definitely start with the positives because, even though, everybody's got different opinions about some of the new things that are going to be coming along, the cigar industry is a great industry filled with fantastic people and fantastic products that we all love to enjoy together. And one of the best things is you get to go and learn about everything new that's coming out. So the first thing, Bear, I wanted to ask you about is, as far as the larger companies at IPCPR, whether it's General Cigar or Davidoff or Altadis and the large brands, which of those companies would you say had the best showing at the trade show this year and you think is going to have a really great 2019?
It's a great question, Matt. So I think what's interesting about this particular question, the way you kind of broke down these questions, is it's almost been it's been a continuing item of discussion in the media circles, particularly when Coop, Aaron Lewis, and I select the Primetime Award winners. What dictates a large company? What dictates a small company? And so there's always room for discussion. And so as far as the larger companies, I actually had a couple of different ones that I thought had an exceptional shows. Really, really, really fantastic. And they unfortunately were none of the ones you named. But I'd like to kick it off with saying that I think I really, really love what JC Newman is doing right now. JC Newman Cigar Company, the oldest American-owned company in the premium cigar industry, still around, celebrating their 125th anniversary in 2020, guys. 125 years.
That's really outstanding, especially for an American company.
Yeah.
It's really something. I think, and I think they've kind of been revitalized. There's this resurgence going on in JC Newman to really preserve their history and to move forward into there's been a really nice social media effort. There's Drew Newman has come on board, the 4th generation now, and he's connecting with the younger consumer, and they're redoing the entire the factory. The museum's going to be refurbished. They're going to make it like almost what we define as the modern day brewery, where you have like bachelor parties and events and weddings. They're going to turn this into a venue, a place in the middle of Ybor City, the most historic cigar place on American soil is Ybor City, and JC Newman's in the heart of it. And so it's a really great thing. And that, you notice I haven't said anything about the cigars, guys. Like this is just something we're really celebrating, and it's fantastic. I really think that they're doing a great job with connecting to consumers across the board. And their retailers are anxious to get on board with it. And so they've got a couple of new cigars. One that you've probably seen a lot about, the American, which that's
what I'm definitely going to ask you about.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm super excited about this project, and I'm super excited. Still haven't tried the cigar, but this cigar is 100%. And when I say everything about the cigar is 100% American, it is absolutely true. The wrapper is from Jeff Borsowich's Florida Sun-Grown Farm. So FSG is the wrapper. And then they have other American tobaccos from all over from the United States, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, etc. All 100% American tobacco in the cigar. Get this, guys. The labels are made in American factories. The boxes are manufactured in American factories. The hinges are made. Everything is American. Only 2 people are rolling this cigar, and it's in America.
Why did they not name this cigar Murica? That's my question.
And that's actually not as silly as a question as you think, Garrett. And I'll tell you exactly why, man. I think they really wanted to display a kind of a seriousness of intent. They could have gone that route, I think. And I think it would have just been just as successful. But JC Newman for a long time, yes, they make Brick House and El Baton and Perla Del Mar and a lot of those value brands that I've heard you guys talk about.
Yep.
And frankly, the Brick House Connecticut is just this shy of the American. It's got 2 American components, but it is manufactured in Pensa, so that's a problem as far as the American-made product. But it's got 2 American leaves on it. But as I digress a little bit, even though they are known for those value type smokes, JC Newman is a luxury cigar brand. Diamond Crown, Julius Caesar, Diamond Crown Maximus. I mean, these are moderately priced to north side of $20, depending on where you are in this country, a cigar. And for my money, it's totally worth it. And so I think to answer your question, I know you're kind of just being sarcastic here, but to answer your question, I think there's a real seriousness of intent, because they want to capture the historical significance of this cigar.
No doubt.
And present it in the premium product is, because it's not going to be cheap. I don't know what the MSRP is going to be, but it's going to be over $15. It has to be, because everything's American made, and the cost of labor alone here in this country is just going to dictate that price.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But there is something about there is something important to me, at least, and I would hope a lot of people. There's something important, I think, about putting your not to be cliche, but putting your money where your mouth is when it comes to supporting the American cigar industry, and something that Marco Rubio's been pushing for, and just trying to literally save an industry that the FDA is actively trying to destroy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. The American cigar industry that has such a storied past. I mean, a lot of people don't think about, and not to get off on a tangent, but just about the American cigar industry, a lot of people don't realize how broad the spectrum of the American cigar industry was at one point. There's even a diner in this little town in Wisconsin that I was in that has pictures on the wall of a cigar factory from this little town in Wisconsin. And it used to be every town had their own little cigar factory.
Yep.
It's just
Absolutely.
the way that it was. And, you know, for people who wanted to go and buy a hand-rolled cigar and smoke a hand-rolled cigar after a hard day of work, all they had to do was go to the local Woolworth, and pick up.
That's an old-fashioned statement right there.
Pick up a can of Dapper Dan and buy a hand rolled cigar, and that's just that whole facet of American life is just being systematically destroyed by people who don't understand anything about premium tobacco.
Yep,
they lump it all in with cigarettes and things like that. So, hopefully JC Newman has success along with, Marco Rubio and Jeff Borshowitz in fighting this just ridiculous onslaught of authoritarianism, I guess.
Yeah, it was a real wake-up call for them, I think, man. There was a real danger for a while that Cuesta Rey was going to get shut down.
Yeah.
That they weren't going to be able to, and that's when we signed. Now it's a historical landmark, thank God. Guys, Coop and I spent an hour and a half in the lobby. So right now, like I said, they're refurbishing, they're redoing everything at the museum, which I can't wait to go back to see what they do with it. But the lobby, I mean, a bored 12-year-old kid can roll through that thing in 5 minutes. Coop and I spent an hour and a half just looking at every display of all the cigar boxes from the time, brands that you guys recognize.
Yeah.
Brands like the original Diamond Crown, saw the original box.
Wow.
The original El Baton, the original Brick House.
Yeah.
I mean, some real history. I mean, if you want to nerd out, I know you guys are cigar nerds.
Oh, yeah.
Not snobs. You guys are nerds.
That's
and
right.
Matt's a huge one. Matt's a huge nerd.
I'm a huge nerd.
Yeah, dude. The Cuesta Rey, man, where JC Newman Cigar Factory in Ybor City, epic. So 125th anniversary, the American, and get this, they've got this new cigar release. Okay, so they're going to the opposite end. They're going to their kind of their staple, but they're putting their own historical spin on it, and they're creating the cigar called the Yagua. Okay. So if that name sounds familiar to you, it probably does, because there's actually a Cuban brand known as the Yagua, but they're bringing the Yagua into the American market with the way that it was originally designed historically. So the Yagua cigar, and this cigar specifically, it's really rustic, and so there are no cigar molds for this cigar. The tobacco is rolled, and it's actually tied together in palm bark. So the Teresios, the Darios process, or Terracos, or however people pronounce it, depending on how Anglo you are. The same process of aging process that the Encore from EPC goes through. The same process that the Cohiba Spectre went through that was released last year.
Yeah,
he went through that. Yeah, so in Terracos barrel. So they're doing this in palm bark, and they're tying it up, and so what gets produced is this, and I'm using their words, this ugly cigar.
Yeah.
But that wrapper, guys, I saw it. It is so oily. The sheen is gorgeous. The label's actually really well done, and it's packaged. They're thinking about redoing the packaging, but the way that it was displayed, it was tied. You know how people use ribbons? A lot of companies use ribbons. This one was tied with palm.
Cool.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. I'm excited to see that, because if you think about it, when you were talking about how oily it is, it makes sense, because it doesn't get, I would think the tobacco doesn't get handled as much. And because it's not put in molds, especially if it's a traditional cigar factory where those molds are made of wood, a lot of that oil ends up getting soaked into that wood instead of staying in the leaf. So that's a cool thing.
Real quick, Bear, what are you smoking?
I'm glad you asked, Garrett.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Thank you.
I would like to hold up a glass or can or something as well. Gentlemen, if you would join me, I would like to. Oh man, Garrett's empty-handed. This is terrible. All right. Well, sorry, Garrett. Okay.
No, it's all good, brother.
Well, I want to toast to a man in the business who's done a lot for me personally, and he suffered a great loss this week. Mr. Gabriel Alvarez, of national sales manager of Casa Cuevas, lost his father this week.
Yeah.
And I'm still fortunate to have my father around, so I certainly don't know what he's feeling right now, but I definitely feel for the man. He is a friend of mine. I consider him a friend, and I just want him to know that I'm thinking of him. So in his father's honor, I am smoking a Casa Cuevas Clásico Prensado Habano. And it is, I love this cigar. It's truly fantastic.
Yeah.
So that is what I'm smoking tonight in honor of Mr. Gabriel Alvarez's father, who passed away early this week. And peace and goodwill to his family as they go through this time. So
yeah, absolutely.
Gabe, to you and your family, cheers and God bless. And we hope you are able to, you guys get through this together as a family and, come out the other end even a little bit stronger. So God bless. Appreciate that, Bear. Thank you. So shifting gears a little bit, we talked about the big companies. So now let's talk about smaller companies. And again, everybody's got a different system to categorize what makes, what constitutes big, what constitutes a small company. But as far as but as far as smaller cigar companies, who do you think had a good showing, and why was it a good showing? Was it because of their new product, or was it just because of their attitude, or both?
Well, I mean, back to Casa Cuevas, guys. This was their first show. This is their third year in existence as they've made cigars for decades now with the Las Lavas factory, but Casa Cuevas as a brand, as we know it, has only existed for a few years now, and this is their first year with the booth. And I thought it was great. The attitude was fantastic. It was a really warm, inviting booth. There were no walls. It was like, come on in.
Yeah.
The displays were beautiful. Everything was gorgeous. They've got some new product.
Okay.
And including that the cigar that's named at the sledgehammer in Spanish. I don't want to butcher the name. But it's named after the horrible tragedy of, they had a break-in at their warehouse down in Miami. So it was like kind of a joke as well. But the cigar's incredible. I've smoked it. It's fantastic. And then they brought back they have this really nice classic line of Maduro and Habano cigars. They were really exciting too. I haven't tried it yet. Luis Cuevas told me that the Maduro is better than the Casa Cuevas Maduro, which scares the shit out of me because I freaking love that cigar. And I told him, don't tell me that, Luis, because then this is going to be a problem. But that was really great to see them. I've worked with them for a while, and I've been following them, and I've loved their cigars since the beginning. And so it was really, really cool to see that right in front of my eyes and everything. I thought Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust had another killer show, man. They a couple line extensions, quote unquote line extensions, sort of, but they're technically not. One's under the Sober Mesa line, one's under the Mi Querida line, the Mi Querida Tricky Traca and the Sober Mesa Brulee. So now Steve's got the spectrum of smoke, essentially.
Yeah.
He's got the most mild to the Tricky Traca, which is supposed to be his heaviest cigar, but he had some great traffic all week long. Got to him on the last day, got to interview him. Always a great interview because Steve's amazing. And then I would also say, Roma Craft always kills it. They were busy as heck. I mean, up until the last day, man, when nobody's there, I mean, they still had people coming into the booth and people were jotting down orders. It was crazy. Nobody was standing around. Nobody had hands in their pockets.
Yeah, I've seen so much heat online about that Baca, that new Cameroon wrapped cigar from them, and it seems like it was everywhere, and everybody was super jazzed about that cigar. And I have a feeling, I can't say for sure, but I have a feeling that that just killed for them as far as sales goes. Yeah,
no teasers, Matt. We're going to be talking about the Baca later, so. Okay. But yeah, no, that was certainly some talk of the show, gotta tell you.
Yeah.
And I would have to say that Black Label, Blackwork Studio, Emilio, Dissident, that booth, or as it's now known as Oveja Negra Brands, was really on fire too, man. They were always busy. I had Benjamin Holt. He was my guest on my show last night, or 2 nights ago rather, and he was. I barely caught him at one point because he was just busy all the time, man.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
They all had pretty good shows from where I could sit, from what I observed, and they all have some great releases, great cigars. You know, I know I told you I was going to bring the fire. That this is probably going to be the least standard because those are kind of expected. They're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, those are people know there are certain brands that, you know, are going to be kind of on fire, but
I'll tell you what though, the Crux rebrand, your guys up there in Minnesota, man.
Say Crux. What
Dude,
do you
money.
think Crux?
It's money, bro. It's money.
Right?
It looks good. It looks sharp. They were wearing jackets and no golf shirts, man. I mean, they were. I felt underdressed and like I did not feel worthy in the booth, man. I did not. They were. It looks great. I love the rebrands.
Yep.
You know, Coop was kind of on the fence about it at first, I think, but I think when he saw it up close and personal and everything, I think it really won him over because he loves that brand. He loves those guys and he loves those cigars. And as do I. He was freaking out because of all the new advertisements and everything. His former cigar of the year, the Duke Connoisseur, wasn't anywhere to be found on any of the new marketing pieces, and he was like having a slight heart attack. And so I was like, and I asked Casey and Jeff, I said, before my boy over here dies of a heart attack, can you just tell him that there's going to be Duke Connoisseurs, please? And rest assured, there will be. So
I'm very glad to hear that too, because that was my whatever it was 3 years ago. That was on my personal list. It was the number 2 cigar of the year for me on my personal list. So
great cigar.
Love that cigar. And I'll be honest, I was kind of in the same boat as Coop and it was just in the very beginning when they sent the press release, and that first press release, all it had in it was the logo. That's it. It didn't have any of the new bands or anything else. It just had the new Crux logo. And I honestly looked at it and I thought, oh, I don't know about this. It kind of looks like it looks like a golf company. Like I honestly didn't dig it at first, but then when they started sending more stuff out, they sent pictures of the new boxes and pictures of the new bands and pictures of the whole branding scheme as a cohesive unit. Yep. I love it. I love everything about it. I think that it was a great move on their part.
Yep.
It really, really looks well done, guys. I think I know you guys are right up there in their homeland and stuff, and it's really fantastic. Forgive me, I'm totally getting a picture of you guys. So,
jeez. Woot.
So, but I think that and I think it's really going to take them to the next level, man. I think for not for a long time, but for a while when they first got started, I think there was some hesitancy with Crux. People didn't take them seriously for one reason or another, whether it was the fact that, Jeff has the last name Hogan and not Gonzalez or something. Yeah. And, that he's blending in himself, or the fact that, it's fantastic. I think the Placencia factory sometimes catches a bad rap.
Which I can't understand why.
Yeah, I can't understand why either, but because they make so much, and their tobacco is so fantastic,
right?
Yep.
And everything as I kind of drug us. They're on an upswing now with the release of their own cigars and stuff. I really think that they're really coming into their own, and that kind of negativity has kind of been brushed aside. But that was kind of a sour point for a while with them. They had
you release a cigar called the Nymphomaniac. And you're gonna wonder if it's for real.
Yeah,
still my least favorite cigar that they make. Still,
that was right out the gate. That wasn't like a third or fourth release. That was their very first shot.
Yep.
So they and I gotta say that takes balls for your very first cigar out the gate to be that thing.
Yep.
So
heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. No, all the praise in the world, man. Those guys make killer cigars. I really dig working with them. I really enjoy interviewing. Casey's a great interview. If you guys ever have the opportunity, especially since you're local. I know he's down actually in Florida now.
Yeah,
and Jeff's great too. But like, if you could ever get I love interviewing Casey. He's
Yeah.
so much fun. He'll bust your balls and be serious at the same time. It's really great.
Love it.
So when you're at IPCPR, I know, and when you're at any big cigar event, but there is something different about IPCPR where your palate really goes through its paces. I mean, it's just cigars from sun up until sundown, and they're long days and they're late nights. But at the same time, sometimes you get this shining star as your palate gets so fatigued, but all of a sudden somebody hands you a cigar and you smoke it and you're like, I can actually taste this cigar. And which is after you're on your 8th or 9th cigar of the day, tasting anything is good luck.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody hands you a cigar after your palate is that fatigued that you can actually taste, that's such a great thing to experience. So whether it was on the show floor, Bear, or it was after hours at some of the events, what are one or two of the cigars that just really kind of hit you in that way? Like, oh my God, I can actually taste this cigar.
All right. So here's the fire, boys. You ready?
Love it.
Bring it.
Okay. So last year, the very first cigar I smoked at the IPCPR trade show was the Cinco de Cadas. And that cigar, now there's a lot of bias in that. It was like, again, it was the first cigar that I smoked. So therefore my palate wasn't burnt out. Right. But I smoked it actually a couple of times during the show, and I smoked it afterwards. That cigar was the star of the show. Sin Compromiso was a close second in my opinion. But I mean, that cigar was the star of the show, and it was really fantastic. And it was clear, like there was a very clear, distinct leadership. A lot of folks were talking about it, and it was just out there, right?
Yeah.
So this year, yeah, there was a lot of chatter, and you could absolutely argue that the Baca had the spotlight and everything, and that it delivered. But guys, there really wasn't a clear, distinct, oh yeah, it's
Okay.
Baca, or oh yeah, it's Sober Mesa Brulee, or oh yeah, it's this cigar. I'll tell you what, I smoked Baca on a fresh palate in the morning, and Skip Martin delivered with this blend, man. It was really, really sensational. This is not your typical Roma Craft, guys. This isn't going to blow your palate off the doors. It's not a powerhouse cigar. There's tons of flavor. It's definitely a full flavored smoke.
Yeah.
But he really showed proper restraint and let the Cameroon shine and use the other additional tobaccos to really accent the blend to where it's really balanced. It's really rich. It's got nuttiness. It's got citrus for brightness. It's got a little bit of sweetness. It's got some spice through the nose. It is incredibly complex, subtle, and really well balanced. I was really, really impressed with it. I think he hit a home run. He did it right, man. Of course, Skip will tell you, of course, he did it right, because Skip doesn't make bad cigars, as he says.
Yeah.
And that's true. You can't argue that point. I don't think he makes a bad cigar. But yeah, he absolutely delivered, man. That cigar was terrific. But here are a couple of hidden daggers, guys. I was really excited. I was really excited about, no, I'm going to save that one for another one.
Okay.
But we're going to keep that. But the Room 101 Farce Maduro.
Oh yeah.
Really great. Stand
Nice.
out. Really cut through the crap of your palate. Really nice and richness.
That original Farce Corona has been one of my favorites since it came out. I mean, it's just it just hasn't disappointed me in the dozen or so that I've smoked. So I was hopeful for that Maduro as well.
It's a Corona, because that's what he calls it. Whatever size, whatever Vitola it is, he doesn't call it a Corona. The size is called it's a Corona.
Oh. Sorry.
It's a Corona, Matt.
Sorry, Matt Booth. It's a Corona. It's a Corona.
It's a Corona. Here's one you guys probably haven't heard of, unless you guys have been talking to some people at the show. This one was winning a lot of people. I heard a lot of retailers talking about it, and it really captured the media too. Was the Alec and Bradley Gatekeeper?
Yeah, I did hear a lot of buzz about that. Just because I know Jack, and it really looked like that was making making a lot of waves and getting a lot of good press.
Well, Jack Heyer did his best to really, ruin that for everybody by getting excited about it. But he did his best, but no dice, because that cigar is good. No, that cigar is actually made again at Ernesto Perez Carrillo Jr.'s factory. So a collaboration between Alec and Bradley wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
So they went outside the company's comfort zone, and they created a cigar which I find really unique. And we're going to talk about another cigar that actually has two signatures here in a moment. But this is a clear defining cigar, because this doesn't taste like anything that Ernie typically makes, and this doesn't taste like anything that's come out of Alec Bradley. It's a very unique tasting cigar, incredible. Really excited for you guys to try it. Go ask your local retailer to carry it, man, because I'm telling you, the thing is solid.
Nice.
Can't
well,
wait.
I was happy with their release last year. The first time that the Suns did their own cigar, the Blind Faith. I thought it was outstanding, actually, and so very excited for the Gatekeeper as well. Definitely. So of the new releases, and of course every year there's almost too many new releases to count, although they can't actually be counted. We're not going to count them right now. But of all the new releases, which one do you think is going to, or has already had, the best short-term just explosion success, where right out of the gate it's just boom, it hits the market, and it's just, it is a success right away? Which one, if you had to just name one right now, it's the cigar of the trade show that they sold all of first production in their orders, and it's lighting up social media?
Oh, well, you have to go back to the Baca if you're going to describe it like that. It just is, man. They sold out. They weren't even giving out a lot of samples. People scored some. I obviously scored one. It's a cigar that's gonna hit the retail shelves, and it's gonna last seconds, man. It really is. People are gonna be blowing that stuff up on social media. People are gonna be. You're not gonna find this cigar in bombs, I'll tell you that much. But you will find this cigar being sold in the black market for twice of what it's worth. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Does it make you want to slap your mama?
Does it make you want to, as Garrett says, is it a cigar that makes you want to punch baby seals?
Yeah.
Well, my wife's a zookeeper, so I can't use that.
You can't advocate punching.
I can't advocate for punching seals. I'll tell you what, it's just really exploding. I think when you wrote that question down, Matt, I actually wrote down a couple of different answers on it. I also went with the reintroduction of the Don Lino Africa from La Aurora, which I was personally really excited about.
I was too, because I loved that cigar back in the day, and then I read further into the press release, and turns out it's actually a new blend. So did they, in your opinion, knowing what that cigar tasted like maybe 10 years ago, did they, even if it's not the same cigar, did they capture that kind of a good essence in that new blend?
I think it's going to have short-term success, because I think people like you just described, Matt, will have attention to it. We'll go out and buy it. I know I will. Had I not tried it, I would have. I did try it. It's different. It's a different blend. It's actually manufactured at AJ Fernandez. Surprise, surprise. Another company saddles their wagon.
Yeah.
Hitches to the wagon of AJ Fernandez. Yeah. Who? Right?
AJ who?
AJ what?
Yeah.
AJ on everything. So later, Coca-Cola, by the way, is announcing a new product next week called Coca-Cola by AJ Fernandez. I
love it. That's
exactly
perfect.
It's got Nicaraguan sugarcane in it. He grows on the south side of one part of his farm. And
new Budweiser AJ Fernandez.
Yes.
The answer to this next question may be the same, and that's really, because the fact is, we've seen it in the past, and we'll see it again in the future. Sometimes there are cigars that are just a flash in the pan. They put off a lot of heat for a short period of time, and then they don't necessarily disappear, but they sort of lose that, the chrome sort of falls off the bumper. So which cigar do you think has the best potential for a long-term, becoming a long-term staple in brick and mortar shops and in people's humidors?
So that's my hope for the Don Lino Africa. I hope that this bringing back will actually bring it back for good. Because I was such a fan of it before, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it quite a bit. And so I really hope that comes back. But yeah, when I saw this question, I think the long-term success, not to keep beating the dead horse here, but Baca has an opportunity to do that because, you know, as I've often notated and it's been discussed quite frequently, is that the one thing you have to admire about Romacraft is that their sustained success over, granted, it's still a short sampling size when you think about it in perspective.
Yeah.
But they haven't blown off any lines, guys. They haven't discontinued anything. And so the Baca has the opportunity for that. However, Cameroon is harder and harder to procure, you know, for various reasons, like, you know, genocide and civil war. But, you know, it's becoming, you know, more and more hard to procure. People are looking to produce it outside of actually Cameroon. You know, Ecuador and Cameroon is good, but it's not Cameroon from Africa. So provided the supply can get back, you know, Skip's able to procure a supply, I think that has the possibility. But again, not to keep, you know, not to be spouting off Romacraft for an hour or anything, guys, but I think the one cigar that I think has the opportunity, and it's a brand I think that's on the rise. It's not a new company. It's a very old company, but it's new in the sense of being really, really active on the premium cigar market, at least for the American market. And that's Royal Agio, or as most people know him as Balmoral. The Balmoral Nicaraguan is their next is their next regular production line that they announced and showcased this year. That cigar is sensational, guys.
Okay.
The Connecticut, the Oscuro, and the Nicaraguan really rounded out portfolio. And yeah, good stuff, man. Really, I think that long-term success, I think Royal Agio has the history, the capability, and showcased the production to be able to really put some cigars out to the market that are fabulous.
Nice.
And then what about, you know, companies like, you know, because what Matt was alluding to in his question, companies like La Galera that had a huge flash in the pan and suddenly now are, you know, they put baby in the corner a little bit.
So, okay, Garrett, go ahead and ask your question again. So, like, you're asking me, like, who's kind of retreated back into the corner?
Yeah.
Okay.
That maybe deserves to get that second chance or deserves to come out of the corner.
But maybe they've gone a little quiet.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Hard-hitting journalism right here.
Yeah, this question wasn't on the rundown. Nice surprise.
No.
So so they've kind of retreated a little bit, but that's a good question.
We can let you simmer saute on that.
Simmer that and ask me the next one, and then I'll answer that one. I will answer the question though.
So this is sort of the opposite, you know, take on this question is, maybe there was a company over the last 2 to 3 years, maybe more, that have been a little quiet. They, for whatever reason, have not put a lot into branding and marketing. They haven't put a lot into new products. They haven't spent a lot of time on social media, and maybe they were struggling a little bit. But for whatever reason, at this trade show or within the last, you know, say the first half of 2019, we've seen them start to get their heartbeat back up again, and maybe they're gaining some more traction, and we're starting to see that they're not out of the fight. Can you name one or two companies that you are seeing a little bit of a resurgence from, especially from this trade show?
Yeah, right off the bat, guys, I can tell you one of the most disappointing things that I saw in last year's trade show, because I really like the guy that's behind it. I've known him for a long time. I think he makes great cigars. And that's Spencer Drake of at the time, which is Hiroshi Urbania, or White Hat Cigars.
Yeah.
Excuse me, White Hat. So he recently went through the name change of La Familia Urbania. Guys, that booth was hopping this year.
That's outstanding. I'm very glad to hear that.
And Matt, you were there at last year's trade show. I think you remember this. You know, he had the ping pong table, and
Yeah.
And that booth was quiet, man. It
Yeah.
hurt, man. I had it right here in the feels because I have a lot of respect for Spence, and I think
Yeah, definitely.
he's a great dude, and I think the cigars are fantastic. And right after the trade show too, he announced a price decrease, which is almost never a good sign across the board. So he had a lot of ground to make up this year, and I think the name change, really, taking White Hat off of it, I completely agree. I asked Spence about that, and he said that he didn't have anything that connected the dots. He didn't have a cigar called White Hat. He didn't wear a white hat. There was nothing. There's nothing White Hat about his cigars, and so La Familia Robena makes perfect sense. And it was a really great move in my opinion. And that booth was hopping.
Good.
Hiroshi Robena was actually there as well. Todd Vance's new national sales director was manning the fort, and
I
did a
love
great
that
job.
guy. I can't say enough good things about Todd. He's just one of the kindest, most energetic individuals you could meet in the cigar industry. And I was sad to see. I won't mention who, but I was sad to see when he left them. But then extremely excited to see where he landed. I knew he would land somewhere, and seeing the pieces fall into place. Kind of, it's to see him land there, and then immediately after, or maybe it was immediately before. I don't remember the timeline, but to see the him land there and then see the rebrand. I just had this feeling that they were starting to really dig in again, and that they hadn't given up, and I was grateful to see that they hadn't given up.
Yeah, like I said, it was hopping. It was really exciting to see them busy. I was really excited to see. I mean, Todd's never, like you said, he's never without energy, man. So his energy brought a lot to that booth, and Spence was even upbeat, man. I mean, everything was just really great, and here's the thing, man, like to be honest, I mean, they had two releases, they had announced the Polonis, which is, just a value bundle cigar. And then of course the Illegals, which, I haven't had a chance to smoke yet, but, really excited to try. And that was kind of like their exciting new thing. But I mean, like overall, like they didn't have that cigar. They didn't have that gatekeeper. They didn't have that Force Maduro or anything like that. They didn't really have that cigar that was like, oh, I got to go over here and try it. But yet the booth was steady in traffic. And that was just a really pleasant sight to see from where I was sitting. It was really fantastic. The one, to go back to the original question, Garrett, just the company that I saw a little bit that was kind of, was really quiet, was surprising, was very surprising, was EP Carrillo.
Oh,
yeah. And yeah, that was, the energy was there. It was great. The people were great. Jose Blanco's there. He was fantastic as always. I had the opportunity, the honor, the privilege of interviewing Ernesto Perez Carrillo Jr. in the booth. Wow. That man, I have so much respect for. And it was just an honor to sit there and talk with him for just a few minutes. He gave us so much of his time, and it was really great. But there was, it was pretty quiet, which was interesting because they had the #1 cigar of the year.
Right.
And they were my #1 cigar of the year. Now that's not going to flow traffic, granted, but I would have expected it to be busier. They had people there. It wasn't a ghost town. There were some booths that were ghost towns, but we'll talk about those here in a second. But yeah, it was, it was quiet.
What would you attribute that to, if you could?
Garrett, if I could answer that question, I'd be, I would tell you. I honestly don't know. It was literally, it's baffling to me still here 1 week later.
Yeah.
And I'm still confused by it. I don't get it. Now Master Sensei of Cigar Dojo will tell you that's because the encore is not that good and he's just crazy. Because the cigar is amazing.
We'll agree to disagree on that one.
That's fine.
All right, so we're going down that track. So I think it's time to take off the gloves. It's time to bring the heat.
I just finished my beer.
It's time to really start getting real. So we're going to start talking about negatives because
All
there
right.
are some, you know. So
I was inspired by you guys, and this wanted to mention during this segment since we're going to get a little sour. I was inspired by you guys in a recent show about you guys were ranting and raving about lemonade. So I brought several different lemon products. I drank a lemon ale from Lakewood Brewing Company, a local brewery here in Texas. Just finished that. I am drinking lemonade now, and then I have a bubbly lemon water later. So
it's one of my jams.
I'm lemoned out here, and we're about to get sour. So let's rock this bad boy.
it is time to get sour.
So hit me.
As we're going to go back to large companies, and we're going to go, which large company would you say just had a poor showing for whatever reason, whether it was they didn't have any new product, or their new product was lackluster, or they just had a crappy attitude? Which, you know, let's just start getting real.
All right. So I told you, Matt, before he walked into the room, I told you I was going to crush your partner's soul. Here it is.
He's already got the lower lip sticking out.
I'm telling you, man. Gotta tell you guys, it was a question mark for me going into the show. I was worried about this company. This company's not going anywhere. Okay, this isn't like the last question. They're not going anywhere. But man, let me just tell you how unimpressive everybody I talked to that went in was my father. My father, yeah, right in the feels, right, Garrett? Did I get you?
That would hurts. That hurts. All right, so bring the real talk. What was it about them?
There really wasn't much. They didn't. Okay, so that no one got to sample the La Promesa that I know about. So nobody that I talked to, and I talked to several people because I was interested to hear about it. And everyone said the same thing. The bands are really pretty, which it's my fault. They make beautiful designs, man. I mean, that's literally what I heard like 10 times. Oh, the bands are really pretty. But from where I sat, nobody and everyone I talked to, no one was given a sample of it. No one tried it.
Let me cross that one off my notes here. The band was really pretty. I'll cross that off.
Like I said, they're a company that's not going anywhere, guys.
Yeah.
And they're a perennial top 10 in the Cigar Aficionado, top 25. They're probably going to get another one this year, guys. They make great cigars.
They do.
Just to let's lift Garrett back up here. Let's lift Garrett back up. Let's make him feel better.
Yeah.
And
how many times can you hit a home run?
Well, yeah, the fact is, in the last I don't know, let's say solidly for the last 10 years, the Garcia family, My Father Cigars, have been, they've been hitting, I'll say they've been hitting 600.
Yeah.
And, that let's just say this year they just, had
we don't know. No one smoked it. It might be a killer cigar,
and it might be fantastic. And this might be number one cigar of the year for Cigar Aficionado. We don't know, but yeah, obviously the samples weren't ready to smoke, because otherwise they would have been giving them out.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to talk to any of the reps? Anybody at the booth?
No, I didn't personally, but I got a lot of my media folk that were talking, and then it was a lot of passe feels. Coop talked to Jose Ortega for a little bit. But yeah, no samples were given out of anything, guys. So, and this apparently has been the kind of the MO the last couple of years. And, I kind of made this remark to Coop. I said, who do they think they are? Padron? and Coop kind of was like, they're kind of going to that model. And I was like, look, their record in the Cigar Aficionado top 25 notwithstanding, which is impeccable.
Yeah.
And like you said, how many times can you not, how many times can you hit a home run? Totally true. Although I think we're agreeing to disagree on something. I think you guys were a fan of the Grano Forte. I freaking hated that cigar.
No, I did not dig that cigar. I was really
That's right. You like the La Palencia. That's right.
I was really big on that, but
I like it.
La Grande Oferta, I honestly thought was a miss for them.
Yeah, that was a miss for me as well. But they really shouldn't compare themselves. They shouldn't put themselves on that Padron pedestal for anything other than, hey, we've almost gotten as many accolades in the top 25 as Padron. Like
Right.
if they want to have that discussion, they want to have that argument, they want to make that comparison, I'm all for it. In fact, I might even be on their side. Because I think they make a varied amount of products, whereas Padron has very similar products. But my father, again, that's one point. My father's different because they make a varied amount of products. They also produce cigars for other companies. Their top dollar cigar is equal to the mid-range Padron.
Yeah.
And I think that's even stretching by $1.
Right.
So to me, I think I think we're comparing apples and oranges. So for them to kind of go to that model of, we're gonna let rest on our laurels, we're gonna rest on our reputation, kind of thing. Like I said, they're not going anywhere. So I mean, they could probably do it for a couple years, but I don't think they can do it year after year after year like Padron has done.
Yeah.
And still maintain the consistency in the humidor that they're given, that they're given currently and stuff.
Oh,
so
man, fair.
One of the things about my father that I always thought was kind of set them apart was they had all the accolades and the respect of the cigar snobs, for lack of a better term. The crowd from Cigar Aficionado, the high end brick and mortar shops, the high end cigar sommeliers, for lack of a better term. They had a high level of respect with that community, but at the same time, they had a very direct and open relationship with the consumers, with cigar new media. And I think, I'm just speaking personally, I think I see it as a mistake for them to move in this direction where they focus only on the first aspect that I mentioned, and if they lose that relationship with the end consumer, and they stop doing their diligence on social media and interacting with people through new cigar media, and because that really helps them to get engaged with the end consumer. I think that's been one of their biggest strong points over the last 10 years. And the last 2 years, I agree, Bear, they've been pulling away from that strategy. And I don't know if it's going to have the long-term effects that they want to, because as a consumer, that's always been one of the best things about that brand, is that they're extremely elegant and refined products, yet at the same time, really accessible and approachable to the average Joe.
Yeah.
Well, and my question was going to be, for somebody who hasn't been to IPCPR, or anybody watching or listening to the podcast, from a media perspective, when you come into the show and a company is giving out these samples, is that really creating the fanfare that you want? And for the companies that don't, do they suffer because of it?
I think so. We're not permitted to ask for samples, so right. That's a hard and fast rule, and
yep.
and that's something else I'll bring up, guys. Is look, I'm not lacking in cigars. I am not complaining. I want to be very clear when I say that.
No doubt.
I am not lacking in cigars. People were very generous, but it did not escape my attention that I left with a significant less amount of cigars this year than I did last year.
Well, it was clearly a buzz too, because not only did you experience that, obviously a lot of other people in the business experience that too, and that's going to create a buzz, but negative buzz. And I'll be interested to hear, what this show, the fruits of this show are for my father.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think, it from where we sat, I mean, their sales might be up, I don't know. But the booth seemed pretty quiet every time I walked by for the most part. It was, and when folks went in, they were, they didn't really have the access that they've had in recent years. And that's hearing from trusted people. And Jose is a great guy. I've had great conversations with him before, and the company as a whole produces some of the finest cigars out there. That's undisputed. I just think that, you know, it was a cigar company that I was worried about going into the show. What were they going to do? What were they going to show me? And they didn't show really anything.
Okay.
So again, not worried about them. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. And it's
but
still
it
a
was
brand
just-
I enjoy and
just
I smoke on a
performance,
regular basis. But it'll be, I appreciate that you know, candidness, and I look forward to seeing obviously what's going to happen with them, you know, over the course of the next 12 months, just to see what sort of happens with specifically with this new facing.
Well, yeah, what it did is now I'm going to go out and I'm going to go get a La Promesa. I'm damn sure going to do that. But
Yeah.
But I'm also going to do it begrudgingly. It's going to be like, oh yeah, I have to go try this.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
So, if I may, again, do another off the cuff question to the both of you, and question for people who haven't been to the show. When you go to a booth of any vendor, what does that typically look like from, you know, a company that maybe is offering samples versus a company that isn't offering samples? Is the, you know, can you just walk me through what that interaction looks like?
Well, Bear, if it's all right, I'll jump in quick.
Go for it, man.
I'd say for cigar media, and this is, I'm speaking as my experience from the years that I was working with Blind Man's Puff, and shout out to Blind Man's Puff. Love you guys, and you did a great job with your show coverage this year. I will say that it's different for cigar media than it is for a retailer that sends their crew there to do their buying for the year. But for us, you know, it's explicitly written in the rules that cigar media are not allowed to ask for samples. But I've never found it to be an issue because 9 times out of 10, you walk into a booth and they say, "Do you guys want something to smoke?" That's the first words out of their mouth. "Hey guys, how's it going?" You know, a little handshake, a little fist pound or whatever it is. "Do you guys want something to smoke?" And right away, they're just offering you typically, and again, I didn't go to the 2019 show. They offer you something to smoke. You talk for a while. You do your interviews. You get your pictures. You get your information. And then also another 9 times out of 10, they would say, "Here," and they go to some of their guys and say, "Hey, put together some bags for these guys with some stuff to take home and sample." And in some cases, they'd say, "These are for you to review. These are cigars that are ready. They're consumer ready. They're ready to be reviewed. Please feel free to review them as you see fit." Or they'd say, "These are I just want you guys to smoke these and enjoy them. Bring them home with you, and we'll be in contact in the next month or two to send you some review samples or whatever."
Sounds like you've been by Nick Malillo's booth quite a few times then.
Yeah, exactly. And so there was never an issue where I felt like I had to ask for a sample as a media member. Generosity was never really an issue, but it sounds like you know, the 2019 show might have been, you know, a little bit different. Bear, what has your experience been like in previous, last year and then this year?
Well, so we handled coverage a little bit different this year. So I will lean on that. So like last year, we did everything in tandem. So it was Coop and I together. We would go into every booth. And yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. 9 times out of 10, we were offered a cigar and we were handed a bag, and it was very, very generous. This year, still, again, I want to emphasize, I am not complaining. It is simply just an observation.
Yep.
I'm not lacking on cigars. I am not bitter with anyone who didn't hand me a cigar. That is not my point. My simple observation is that I had significantly less cigars to take home than I did from last year. And instead of that 9 out of 10 rule, Matt, I would say this year was more 7 out of 10.
Okay.
I smoked significantly less cigars on the floor this year than I did last year.
Okay.
One booth this year, I actually smoked 3. Just because I'll tell you that story here in a little bit. But that was just, you know, it just varies depending on who you're talking to and everything like that. Now, if I had a relationship with the person, like there were a couple of times that I went into booths and not really having that much of a relationship with the folks. And those, you know, that was kind of a coin flip. Was I going to get cigars or was I not? But again, it really doesn't matter. Doesn't affect me. Doesn't affect how I feel about the booth in particular or the company. I'll give you let's see. I'll give you a great example. I'm super excited about the new Asylum cigars from CLE. I didn't get any Asylum cigars this year. And you know, I wasn't offered any. Of course, I didn't ask for them because I can't. But you know, it might have been simply an oversight by Tom and his people there. They were busy. They were bumping. That totally makes sense. So I'm certainly I'm giving them positive press because they were bumping. I'm excited about the new product. It's 7 years for Tom for Asylum Cigars. It's a big deal. So you're darn right that it's an exciting moment for CLE and what they're doing, continuing to do. But yeah, and so I'm not okay. I didn't walk away with any cigars. No big deal. So it's really not. That's not a bitter problem or anything like that. But yeah, I would say it was more 7 out of 10 this year than versus 9 out of 10. I would agree with you on last year, Matt.
Yeah. And it's again, we don't. We'll be at the trade show next year. And it's you don't. So that's. And I don't want to get in the weeds cigar media wise because we want to focus on stuff that consumers want to hear about. But if you're ever going to get into cigar media, if you get into cigar media just because you want free cigars, then you're getting into the wrong field. Just don't do it because that's not what it should be about. That's not what it is about. We cover this industry because we love everything about it, and we don't go to the trade show so that we can come home with a bag full of cigars. We go to the trade show so we can cover the greatest industry in the world. And but it also happens to be an industry filled with wonderfully generous people, and you typically do come home with a very nice selection of cigars, and we're grateful for every last one of them. It's something that I have a feel, and again, I wasn't there, so I can't speak to it, but I have a feeling just because I know expenses are getting really high for people to even have a booth at the trade show.
Yeah.
And they may have been so limited on budget for cigars that they could bring to the trade show. They knew that they had to save each and every last sample they had for the retailers. And as far as I'm concerned, that's who they should be saved for. Is retailers, not the media.
100%.
So, yeah.
100%.
And I know you feel the same way. So
can retailers ask for samples?
Everyone other than media is allowed to ask for samples. Yes. Media is the only group allowed access to the trade show who cannot ask for samples until next year. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And that's where the real fire is going to come. So Bear, as far as small cigar companies, who struggled, who just was blah.
So this is a cigar company that produces fantastic. We talked about Nestor Plasencia a while ago. They produce great tobacco. This is another company that has amazing tobacco. In fact, 98% of the world's the cigars on the market that are made with the San Andreas wrapper come from this company, and that's Casa Turrent. Yep. Casa Turrent was really quiet. They were kind of tucked away in a corner. Edgar Hoyle's over there now full time. He's in the blending process. He's making cigars. The 1880 was a really star-studded winner for them last year, and made with all San Andreas tobacco. The new Osak is San Andreas tobacco as well. So really featuring their tobacco, which is great. But it's it just seemed it lacked the pizzazz, the punch, the legs, whatever you want to call it. So it really was, it really was unfortunate for that company just to be a little quiet. Cause because I dig their tobacco, man. I think, like I said, 98% of the world's San Andreas that finds its way onto a cigar is grown by that family. So
yeah,
they're doing something right.
Definitely. So, and again, we have to preface this by saying, during the trade show, you smoke a ton of cigars, your palate gets wrecked. But sometimes a company will bring samples to the show and they are absolutely not ready to be smoked. And what's a cigar you can think of that the sample that you were handed that it was either way too early to be released to the market, or you have a feeling it's just not going to be a good release?
That's you put that one out there, Matt, and this was man. I would love to zing. I would love to deliver a zinger here, man. But I really just didn't. I really just didn't smoke anything. See, and that's the thing, man. I didn't smoke anything like bam, Cinco de Cadas,
Right.
But and I didn't. There wasn't really anything that was just. There was nothing that really hit me bam on the high level, but there was nothing that hit me on the really low level. Like there wasn't anything that was like, man, this sucks. This is terrible. I will tell you, I was a little not disappointed. I was hoping that perhaps 724. I'm a big fan of that company. Love Kurt Kendall. Bozar. I'm going to butcher his last name, and he told me how to pronounce it. It's going to be terrible. Zarzeski is their new national sales guy.
Yes.
Great fan of our show and stuff. He showed me around the booth. I'm very excited about what he's going to do, and I'm excited where the company's going. I was just hoping that they would have brought something else to the booth. Maybe there wasn't enough time. He's not a big brand. He doesn't want to be a big brand. I get that. I would have just been really excited to see something come out of there that was a little bit more. They brought the 1874s, but the back and everything like that. But Bo did give me a Lancero, and that cigar was it's so good.
Yeah.
So that's not even answering the question. Like I really didn't have like a man. This was terrible. I will tell you this though. There's a lot of fanfare, and going back to an original question of where I think a short-term success cigar, because it's just something different and weird, is the acquisition of Lars Teton by Alec Bradley. I've smoked a couple, guys. Infusion or seasoned or marinated, whatever they call it, whatever their version of it's called, is not my bag. And let's just leave it at that. Those cigars aren't my bag. But I think they're starting it off right. They're getting some buzz around it. There's some work to be done, but I think they got a long way to go on it. And frankly, the cigars didn't really wow me. But again, I don't think they were meant to, because it's not really my thing. So
yeah. Well, this other question we really kind of hit on already, which was which company do you think is most notably struggling right now to connect with consumers?
Oh, I got a different answer for this one.
We talked about My Father, but if you've got another answer, I want to hear who you're thinking.
Absolutely, Ashton.
Ooh,
really?
That booth was dead.
That kind of surprises me. So they had no action?
No, man.
Okay.
No, that booth was dead. Think about it, guys. This is another cigar company that's not going anywhere.
Right.
Today, tomorrow, next year, Ashton is still going to be a perennial top 25er. They're still going to sell the crap out of white label. Matt, how old's your youngest kid? Which I still won't believe you, but that's fine. Go ahead and tell me the age.
My youngest is 9.
Okay. So since T21 is going to happen, okay, it's not going to be 9 years anymore. So when your youngest turns 21 and can have a cigar legally for the first time, I am genuinely concerned. So we're talking about over 10 years. In 10 years, when this next generation of smoker comes around, I'm really worried about Ashton's place in the humidor.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Because bold statement.
Because they don't have the allure, even though they're made in the same place. They don't have the allure that Fuente does. Fuente is never going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, unless Imperial is for sale, so Altadis is for sale. So unless they sell someone to completely liquidates premium cigars, Romeo and Julieta is not going anywhere. It just never will. Like whether you're and your opinion of the cigars is mute. It has no bearing on it. But Ashton really is. Ashton is your dad's cigar.
Right.
Ashton is a cigar that you probably went to, Matt, when you were first starting. In fact, I remember you guys having this conversation, and it may have been, or one of the ones close to it. But Ashton was really prominent when you guys started, when you claim you started smoking, because I still don't believe how old you guys are. But when you claim you started smoking, Ashton was around back then, and it was like it was one of the it cigars, and for the best, the best 20 years, they're great. Their founder is a Cigar Hall of Famer, for crying out loud.
Yep.
The lineage and the heritage is there, and where they make their cigars is at Casa Fuente in Dominican Republic. So we know the cigars are good. We know the tobacco is good, but they are failing to reach, in my opinion, they are failing to reach the end consumer, this next generation of it. I have plenty of respect for them. They don't have to win me over. That's not the problem. I'm not the problem.
Right. Yep. When that ESG that was supposed to be all the rage really fell on its face, and
not as bad as Symmetry.
Yeah.
It makes sense that, and not to get morbid, but if your consumer base is getting old, and sorry, but if your consumer base is getting old and dying off, and you're not doing anything whatsoever to reach that next like you said, Bear, to reach that next generation of consumer base, then eventually, whether it's 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, if you never take those steps necessary to reach the next consumer base, your brand's going to go away, and it's going to become a brand that 30 years from now, the next big player in the premium cigar industry is going to buy up that brand name, just so they've got predicate stuff in their belt that they can re-release with new branding, new look, new marketing hype, and make all that. I'm sorry, but make all that money that you could have made and reach that. Sorry, got bugs flying in my nose, but reach that next consumer that you failed to reach. And it sounds like, unfortunately, Ashton might be headed down that road if they're not careful.
So, guys, in 25 years, I'll be 60, okay? I'm 35 years old. So in 25 years, I'll be 60 years old. How sad will it be if I'm 60 years old, I've grown kids, and Ashton's made by someone that you and I have never even heard of yet,
right?
Or it's gone. I mean, it's not the same. That's what I'm afraid of. Like, I'm not, like I told you guys, I was going to bring some fire tonight, and this certainly stirs the pot a little bit because there's such a legacy brand and everything, but Ashton really has failed to reach. And okay, now this is not firsthand knowledge. Okay, this was not my firsthand experience, so I want to preface this. But I had fellow members of the media, and two retailers, their customers at this trade show, that went into the booth and were blown off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a problem for them.
Varying definition of blown off. Like, basically, you could say if they weren't coddled, that you can't really say they were blown off. But I mean, those were the words. I'm quoting people. Those were the words that were used, and that was that disappoints me. I mean, what else can I say? That disappoints me. No,
I hear you. Well, hopefully they can turn it around, and because it's, that I got to be honest, that VSG is still just a cigar that I reach for on a regular basis.
Right.
The white label and the VSG,
and even the classics,
should be in everybody's humidor.
Well, best of luck to Ashton turning that around, and I still dig their products. I just hope they can maybe take some steps to remember that there's a generation coming up that's going to be getting into premium cigars in the next 5 to 10 years, and if I just don't want them to get left behind.
Yeah, until then, you and I will be smoking white label and VSG and be happy about it, because we'll enjoy it, and we'll laugh at the kids that are missing out.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like the Franklinesa that's going out.
Yeah.
Yes. By the way, Garrett, we need to go in on this box, man. 1961s. If there's any left, if Matt hasn't bought them all from JR's at this point.
I'm not saying nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't bought anything. No, I actually haven't because I've been too stinking busy and saving my pennies for a move. So, although I may have purchased a couple cigars online today that I found a deal on. So here's a quick little. Let me get a puff in here.
By the way, this cigar,
It's lights out. Yeah, this 2019 Angel's Anvil from Crown Heads. John Huber, Miguel, Brian McGee, you guys, lights out. This cigar, you hit another, you hit another ball up into the upper deck. It's a very fine cigar. Well done.
a lot of strength.
So here's a little lightning round of all the hype with the press releases leading up to the trade show, all the coverage that I saw you guys give at the trade show. I got a lightning round of cigars that I am super excited to try and will be trying over the next basically the rest of 2019.
Okay.
The M Bombay M Cuba Mayora, because I was a big fan of the M Cuba that came out last year, especially that Lonsdale size, the Nikia
the Nika, yeah,
the Nika,
thing's awesome, yeah.
So excited to try that Mayora, and it's on my list. Although we talked about the brand as a whole, but I do want to try the Promesa from my father, if it ever actually makes it onto the market.
It's a thing.
If not, you could just look at all the marketing pieces and man, remark how pretty it is.
Look at all the pretty bands.
Super pretty.
Excited for all the Dissident stuff. Benjamin Holt, I was very excited to see that Dissident brand get resurrected, and honestly, even more excited that it was Benjamin that was bringing it back. I just think he's the right guy for the job to bring that brand back, and he turned it into something. Although the name is the same and the names of the facings are the same, he made that brand his very own, and I am so excited to try each and every one of those blends to see what he turned them into. Couldn't
agree more. We're going to talk about that later, but couldn't agree more.
The new version of the Big Poppy Slugger, if I'm not mistaken, is the name of it. I'm excited to try that because I love El Artista as a brand. I think they're good people, and the fact that Big Poppy put his name on one of the cigars, I love that guy, and anything he puts his name on.
Hashtag get better.
Yeah, hashtag get better. Whether it's cigars or whatever the guy puts his name on, I'm probably going to be into it because I just love that dude.
He was supposed to be there.
Yeah, well, I mean, recovering.
When you get a shot a month before, it's kind of hard to make a trip. It's just
no.
I mean, what a tragic dude. I mean, guys, I'm a Boston Red Sox fan. Bleed Red Sox red, and Big Poppy's one of my boys. I mean, has been.
Right.
So like, Coop told me moments on before I went on live on a show. I had Terrence Riley on, who's also a Red Sox fan, and we were just kind of like, holy crap.
You found out about his shooting right before you went live?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's tough. I've been a big Plasencia fan for the last few years since they've been, putting their own name on their own lines of cigars. I love the Alma Fuerte. I love the Alma del Campo, and now I'm super excited when it comes out to try the Alma del Fuerte. So very excited for that one. The Protocol Sir Robert Peel. I've heard great things. Very excited for that one as well. The Highclere Castle Maduro, which I know there's another name for it. What, Bear, do you recall the name? Victorian. Thank you. Excited for that one. The AJ Fernandez Dias de Gloria. Very excited for that one. I mean, it's AJ, so it's probably going to be good. Of course, the Roma Craft Baca. Very excited for that. I may or may not have a box on pre-order. I'm not saying anything. The Sober Mason.
How many people do you have to kill for that?
I'm not saying anything.
Garrett's still with us, so I know it wasn't him. I know he didn't go down.
No, it wasn't him. We reviewed the collaboration, the Balmoral Duetto, which we both reviewed, super high score on howaboutthatcigar.com, and I thought it was a great collaboration. I mean, of course, it's EP Carrillo, so I knew I was going to love it. But the next collaboration is with LFD and the Paso Doble. I'm super excited for that one as well. Not just the cigar, but the company made a big splash. I heard a lot about them. and that's Ace Prime. So very excited to try the stuff from them. I've heard very good things, and in an industry that is under so much just doom and gloom with the FDA, I'm grateful anytime I see a company trying to make inroads, and I'm excited for what they're doing, and I hope they have a lot of success.
The Dominique Wilkins cigar is solid, guys. It's
Is it?
really good.
Nice.
Really good.
Yeah, I heard great things from so many different people. All the new HVC stuff, the HVC Series A, and then there was another one which I'm sorry I don't recall right now, but I've been an HVC.
The Rosa 520.
Yes, the 520. I've been a fan of theirs since they hit the scene, and I look forward to the new stuff as well.
Broadleaf is regular production now. So
is it regular production?
The Broadleaf is regular production now.
Oh, I'm very glad to hear that, because very good cigar. The Psycho 7 Nicaragua, Indiana Ortez. I mean, she's just she's a wonderful person, and she comes from a family of great tobacco minds. And very excited to see the project that she got to basically develop as her baby from the ground up, and excited to try it.
Cigar's good. Good stuff.
And then the last one I had on my list, which is actually probably the one I'm most excited about, is the collaboration between Drew Estate and Willie Herrera and Crowned Heads La Colisión.
Yes. I haven't smoked it yet.
Heard great things, and I heard their interview on the Hot Ticket podcast, and just hearing John and Willie talk about the cigar made me even more excited to try it. So can't wait and actually I think it's going to be hitting shops here in the cities very soon.
Nice.
So excited for that.
Can't wait.
So Bear, we're going to switch gears. This is where the real fire comes. In 2020, IPCPR is changing its name to PCA, which I think is a great move. I think IPCPR was a disaster. The name was a disaster. I think it didn't speak to anybody. So I think PCA is simplified. It's concise. I think it makes sense.
Okay.
But I had my initial reactions when the press releases started coming out that next year they're going to have
press releases or the leaks.
Okay, that's a good point. I'll say the leaks, because I suppose to this day there never actually has been an official press release, and if there was, it only went to a couple outlets. There were rumors about it forever, and ever since the rumors started flowing, I had my opinions about it. And that is, the rumors were someday there's going to be a consumer day at the industry trade show. There's going to be a consumer day. And it turns out next year that's going to be a real thing. And I still joke about it, but I'm actually, it's not a joke. They stole that name from me. I've been calling the IPCPR trade show CigarCon for years.
Those
So
bastards.
yeah, they stole that from me.
I think you should find some old video of you and send it to them, and
royalties,
bitches. Or just free membership for life. I'm not asking for much, guys.
I'm not asking for much. Just free membership and free flights and accommodations. That's it. That's not asking for too much.
No worries.
Got it.
So they are next year. There's going to be a consumer day, and it's going to be called CigarCon. And as of right now, although everything's very preliminary, it could change. Right now, they're saying it's going to be the first day of the trade show.
Correct.
I have different information.
You have different. Okay, tell me what information you have.
The information I have is it looks like it was decided that it's going to be the last day.
So they moved it?
They moved it. Now, what it looks like is the first, so they're going to have the all of the workshops and everything on day one. Day two,
workshops for consumers or workshops the same as before for retailers?
For retailers.
Okay.
Day two, they'll have a walkthrough for media and retailers, but they can't place any orders until day 3.
So day 2 is literally just walking around. Now I'm getting even more upset about the whole thing. But
So
Where'd you hear this, Garrett?
I heard it from a retailer who just came.
Okay.
And he's not happy about it because in his mind, why show up for the first 2 days?
Right.
Well, there's a lot of that. So let's start at the beginning. Bear, how about that new name, PCA?
Well, Director, first of all, I want to give a hats off to some stellar reporting by Charlie Minato and the guys at Half Wheel for digging that story up.
Yeah.
And really bringing it to light. There was a teaser that had been floated out, and there was a heck of a job of reporting by those guys. And those guys can kind of be polarizing in certain circles. They take a lot of flack. But this was a stellar job of reporting, guys, and that's anyone who says differently, I'll go to fisticuffs on it, because
I have no problem saying, and I've said it multiple times in the past, that Half Wheel is one of the only cigar media websites, and there are only a very, very small group of cigar media websites that I visit every single day. They do a tremendous job of covering the industry, and there is not a single cigar media outlet that does a better job at covering the legislative side of cigars. So they do a stellar job, and they did a great job at sort of bringing out some of the early facts about PCA. But sorry, Bear, please continue.
Yeah, so just hats off to them for the great start reporting. Now, Director Pierce was very emphatic about in his opening announcement about how he got the organization got tremendous feedback on the name. They floated this around to retailers, they floated this around to companies, they floated this around. It's remarkable the number of people they claimed that they asked about it, yet this was the first time that we heard about it. Was the leak and the great job of reporting by Half Wheel. So I'm surprised of how many people they supposedly asked, but he was very emphatic that they did a lot of due diligence and got a lot of feedback on the name. The question that I asked, that I had questions for, but he answered that in that very emphatic statement, was like, where do pipes fit in now, guys? Pipes are, the pipe industry is incredibly small, and they basically get left out of the name now. And where does that put them in the standing with the organization? And what is this organization for? What is IPCPR, PCA for?
Exactly.
It is specifically for the retailer.
Amen.
And retailer is nowhere to be found in the name. So it's to your point, Matt, you're absolutely right. It's concise. It's simplified. It's much easier to say than IPCPR. Director Pierce brought up a pretty startling point, that when he went up to the Hill in Washington to have a sit down with some legislators, that when they thought they were sitting down with the IPCPR, they thought it was an organization, a health organization because of CPR in the name.
Yeah,
that's a true story.
That's
according to Director Pierce. So it's we needed something that said this is where we are. So I agree with that. I don't hate the name. I like the logo. I like what it stands for, the coloration. The green, the brown, and the gray represents the product, the process again of a cigar, not pipe tobacco or pipes. But it represents the tobacco in the field, the tobacco when it's cured and ready to be smoked, and then the gray represents the ash. So I like the imagery.
Yeah.
I like the metaphor behind it, and the simplification, yes, but I've just got questions on how some of these very specific areas of the organization are kind of left out in the cold.
Yeah.
But apparently, according to feedback, no problems. So.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I don't love it. Don't hate it.
Also, I would like to correct my statement. the Cigar Con will be day one. So it will be
That's where it still stands as of right now.
workshops,
They have close to a year to change.
basically
to change it.
workshops, then Cigar Con, then retailers.
Yeah.
And the American League just won the All-Star game.
What?
Nice. I like it. So they're moving the dates forward, starting on July 10th this year, which I think is a extremely smart move. It would be even smarter to, move it to March or April. But what do you think about that, Bear? The date changes.
Attendance was a theme this year, guys. And if it hadn't been for Cigar Con and PCA, it probably would have been the dominant conversation. Day four was a lot lower than even last year's last half day.
Yeah.
Day 3 was really low attended. I gotta say, from what I saw.
Okay.
Now, granted, here's my perspective, guys. Last year was my first IPCPR that I attended. This is my second. Now, they were at 2 different venues. Okay. One was at the Las Vegas Convention Center. This one was at the Sands Expo. So from my perspective, different layout. Don't know if that changes the dynamic of what I saw. But that was just kind of my observation. So the third day, very, very low attended. It was, attendance is, I think attendance has been an issue for a number of years now, and they're trying to figure out. We're going to get into the biggest hot button issue here in 2 seconds, but they're trying to stir the pot. They're trying to generate energy. They're trying to generate attendance, and bolster it. I really wish they do not publish their numbers, because they do not scan badges, and so the attendance is based on badge numbers. And I still think they're counting it wrong, because apparently they count. Okay, so if the 3 of us had a cigar shop called, Matt and Garrett's place, I won't throw my name into it, Matt and Garrett's tobacco, outlet, they would count this as 3 badges. And that's not right.
Right.
It should be 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because it's 1 buying power.
Right.
Exactly.
1 buying power.
1 membership.
So in theory, as a retailer, I could bring more staff to get help, because the trade show is still huge.
Right.
To get help, to give my guys and gals experience, or whatever, for any number of reasons. But I'm still the same buying power. If I increase my number of badges next year, that's going to quote unquote increase attendance, but it's not increasing buying power. So they're not publishing those numbers, and they don't scan badges. So particularly with this year, with the leak and the pre-announcement, there were a lot of people that were sour on it before I even got to hear the announcement. There might have been people, I don't know if it was 5, I don't know if it was 10, I don't know if it was 1, but if it was 1 to 100 retailers that decided to stay home because they're like, F this, I'm not dealing with this organization that's changing the name and doing Cigar Con and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
They stayed home. They bought badges already. And if you're counting badges, well, then, yeah, who knows what that does to the number. So it's kind of a big mystery. And again, with a different layout, unfortunately, I cannot offer expert testimony on that. Just from what I saw, day 3 was very low key, and day 4 was very, very, very dead.
Okay. Well, the big elephant in the room for the whole thing is the Consumer Day, Cigar Con. I have opinions about it, but I want to know your opinions, Bear. I want to know not only your own personal opinions, but because you come at it from a few different angles. You work in cigar retail, and you also work in cigar media. So you see it from a few different angles. And so I want to know, from a cigar media perspective, what do you think about Cigar Con? And what do you think about Cigar Con from a cigar retailer perspective?
Well, don't forget, I'm also a consumer, Matt, just like you.
Oh, sorry.
And
that goes without saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And so from 3 different perspectives here, guys, there was a long time that last year was a real culmination for me. Last year was not to be melodramatic and not to be over the top, and I'm not trying to be, I'm being pretty sincere. It was a dream come true.
Yeah.
To attend the show was a dream come true. And to work it in any capacity was a dream come true. And it was something that I wanted for years. And, my general manager in my store did a great job of preparing me, because he said, you got to understand, this is work, Bear. Yes, we have a good time. It's great. It's fun. We get to see lots of people that we know and build relationships, and it's a good time. There's no other way. I mean, there's not a part of it that really sucks,
Right.
But it is an enjoyable time, but it is work.
Right.
And I got to go into that knowing that that's what it entailed. And so I had a definite respect for it and everything. And so it wasn't what consumers feel that it is. And so to that point, I can understand consumers wanting to go.
Absolutely.
But to your question, Matt, from a cigar media perspective, I have a lot of questions.
Ditto.
I will applaud them in the press conference after the big announcement in which cigar media were allowed to ask questions. They were very candid. They were hammered by 2 media outlets continuously and repeatedly asking the same question in a variant of different ways about costs. What's this going to cost? Is this going to cost this person this much? Is this going to cost this? What's it going to cost? What's it going to cost? So cost was a huge theme, and by 2 media outlets asking the variant of questions in a varying amount of ways, but and they didn't know, and they said it as much.
Yeah.
So I applaud their candor. However, that just leads me to more questions. Like, if this is the idea that you're going forward with, and it is going forward, there's no stopping it now, guys. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. There's no way of stopping them. Yeah. There's no stopping this train. They would absolutely look foolish. They would look 3 times as bad.
Yeah, totally.
And but how's it going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to entail? They want to sell 4,500 badges to this thing, guys. First of all,
Hold on. So they want to sell 4,500 badges just on the consumer side?
Yeah, CigarCon. That's the goal for the first year, 4,500.
Wow. Okay.
And they don't know the cost.
They don't know the cost.
Well, I have seen some preliminary costs for different tiers of consumer entry.
Right. So again, to that point, like, there's just a lot more questions that I have. So as a media member, this is something that we've been asking for a number of years. And I haven't been part of the brotherhood, so to speak, for as long as you have, Matt, and you haven't been as long as guys like Charlie and Coop and Eric.
Totally.
And the Blind Man's Puff guys, even Cigar Fed. They've been around for longer than we've as entities. How about that cigar and also for Martake? So they have a lot more time and skin in the game and a lot more beefs. Stogie Review, Ben Lee does an incredible job there. Ben and Brian and those guys, they were the ones that really started coverage of the show. They're actually responsible for, as popular, in my opinion, and Coop feels the same way. They're responsible for generating what now is CigarCon, and that's not a negative.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
The desire for consumers to go was generated by these videos that guys like Stogie Review did. So, so to that point, this is access that we've wanted as media for a long time and haven't been given.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A media outlet was able to get on the floor in years past, but using different badges. They weren't using media badges.
Right.
And so, it's a problem because they want, so the desired intent and the message that was hammered into our brains was that consumers are going to be brought in, they're going to get excited about the product, and they're going to tell their retailer who's there with them as their tour guide. I shit you not.
Oh yeah.
Their retailer is going to be holding their hands through all these progressions and stages and stuff, and they're going to be sitting there taking feedback from their consumers. Oh, I want to bring in the new Foundation cigar. I want to bring in the new Saka cigar. I want to bring in the new My Father cigar. Look at that pretty band. So Guys, that's our job.
Right. Yeah.
And that's been our job for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's also the retailer's job.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what? There are a lot of great retailers out there, and there are a lot of good retailers out there. And the good retailers, they can't afford to bring in everything. They just can't. It's just not financially feasible. And you know what? The cost doesn't dictate it. Okay, let's take a look at Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, the unicorn, the $100 cigar. Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I'm in the business of looking for repeat buy, I want repeat buy. I'm not interested in that cigar. From a business, from a business point of view, I'm not interested in that cigar because I'm not going to get a repeat guy.
Right.
Matt, I will sell it to you one time and that's it.
Yep. It's a once in a lifetime, or it's a getting married, buying a house, having a baby,
Right.
rare, Haley's Comet kind of cigar.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not a regular production item, so I mean, it's not something I have to necessarily worry about. Steve can only produce through so many of those anyway. So,
right.
But at the same time, my consumer is going to tell me that they want this, they want that, they want this, they want that, they want this, they want that. I want everything, Matt, just like you do, and just like Garrett does. We want to smoke everything.
Yeah.
As consumers, we want to smoke everything.
I want a 60,000 square foot walk-in humidor at my brick and mortar shop. That's what I want. But you can't have it.
Yeah, there's just very few retailers in this country that produce that kind of buying power.
Right.
And Abe DeBabna, Smoke Inn, Jeff Borshwitz, Corona Cigar, Dave Garofalo, who we're going to mention in a minute. And those guys are the guys that have the buying power and the humidor space to be able to buy pretty much anything they want, and will sell and will move virtually anything they want.
Exactly.
And so they can have that conversation with the consumer. If there's one cigar that they don't do, but I'll tell you what, is as wide variety as Jeff has at Corona Cigar Company, guess what? There are cigars that he doesn't have, and he doesn't bring it in for a specific reason. And it's not, Jeff's a businessman.
Right.
It's not personal, it's business. He could absolutely love you to death, man.
Yep.
And not bring in your cigar because, like, man, I'm not going to make money on it. If I'm not going to make money on it, I'm not going to do it. There's no point.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There are a lot of great cigars on the market. Cigars that get released every year, cigars that are perennial favorites that Jeff's not going to carry, that Abe's not going to carry, that Dave is not going to carry.
You know what the worst enemy right now for a cigar company is? Producing a $7 to $8 cigar that's really good. It's the worst thing you can do in this market.
Yeah.
The overwhelming majority of retailers are not looking to bring in another $7 to $8 cigar. They've already got 200 of them.
Right.
Yep.
They're
looking for that next great $15 to $17 cigar.
Right.
Yep.
That next $25.
The $8 price point. That's the buyer's cigar. That's that your consumers. That's your everyday consumers that come in off the street that maybe buy total number of sticks. Maybe they buy 100 cigars a year or less.
Right. Exactly.
That's and it's just like having a housing market that's saturated with $250,000 houses. If you put another $250,000 house on the market, good luck.
Yeah. Good luck and Godspeed to you. And so to that, the original question about media, like that's a big concern of ours, is being led on the trade show floor because they're basically diluting our product.
Yeah.
That's a question that I have. So we're covering the show and we're just putting out pictures and content about the Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust Sobremesa Brulee.
Yeah.
Guess what? By the time we get our content out, as insider information as we'll know, because we'll have access on day 2 after CigarCon.
Yeah.
Guess what? Pictures of Brulee are going to be in the tens of thousands through social media outlets. People bragging about, look what I got.
Yep. It's already been covered.
It's already been covered. It's already diluted our product. Now some big time media guys will tell you that they're not necessarily worried about that. Coop is actually, I brought up that point to Coop. He's not necessarily worried about that point, but I'm telling you that I would be shocked if click rates aren't down next year after CigarCon. I'll be shocked. I just
Right.
will be. And
Right.
if I'm wrong about, which I hope I am, if I'm wrong about that, then fantastic.
Well, let's say that, because let's talk about the consumers who would be going to CigarCon. They're not your average everyday consumers. They're the consumers who are cigar nerds, or the limited number of guys who aren't cigar nerds but just happen to have the means.
High rollers.
They're high rollers. They've got the money. They don't care. They're going to go, and they're going to bring their bros with them and go to the show.
Right.
So let's say, because I agree that 4,500 is a very lofty goal for them for selling consumer badges. Let's say they get half of that. So let's say for the first day of the show, which is going to be CigarCon, they have 2,250 consumers walking that show floor. The vast majority of those 2,250 consumers are going to be like us. They're going to be the cigar nerds who are totally into the culture and the process, but they don't happen to run their own cigar media sites. They're just cigar nerds, but they do have a presence on social media, and they are, for lack of a better term, influencers, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram. That first day, those 2,250 are going to be hammering social media with all the information that all the other cigar nerds who don't go to Consumer Day, they're going to find that information, they're going to consume that information, and then when it's time for me, Garrett, you, Coop, Charlie, Emmett, Eric, all the other cigar media people to start covering it, they're the consumers who want that information, well, guess what? They already got it. They already got that information. Obviously, it's not going to be as refined and detailed. They'll get more quick hits. Or correct. Yeah. A lot of it will just be, incorrect, or, in some cases, it'll just be a picture, and it'll just be, sort of thumbing their nose at their friends who didn't go to CigarCon. It's like, ha, look at what I got and you didn't. But I agree with you 100%. When we started How About That Cigar is consumer focused cigar info and entertainment. We care about the consumers. We care about every level of consumers. So I don't want in any way, shape, or form to give consumers the idea that I think consumers shouldn't have an avenue to go and really dig into the deep inner workings of the cigar industry and see all this cool product and everything. But the fact of the matter is, there are already multiple consumer geared, consumer focused cigar shows all throughout the year.
Yeah.
That are great shows that are absolutely they're built for the consumer. And the IPCPR/PCA trade show is not a consumer show. And to just suddenly take this thing and say to all these manufacturers, you now have to completely revamp the way that you're doing this show, which, if for a lot of these companies, it ends up being a quarter to a third of their business for the year. You now have to completely redo the way you work everything for this biggest event of the year for you, just because we're going to throw in a new element and turn it into a consumer-based, consumer-focused event. And I'm not saying it can't work, but if they don't, like Skip Martin said, the devil's in the details. And if they don't really fine tune this down to the tiniest little detail, it's going to be a shit show that is not going to get them the result that they want.
No, I totally agree. And let's not to mention all those changes that you're asking your manufacturers to make. It's much to their chagrin as well.
Yeah,
there were a lot of manufacturers that were marginal. It's the range from marginally unpleased to downright pissed.
Yeah,
about this. Now, there were some positives. There were some people that were excited about it. I spoke to to Pete Johnson, who is all for it.
Okay.
And he laid it out. He's like, he laid it out. We have to support the industry. And this is another form of supporting the industry. And if you're going to be in this industry, you need to support it. And his point is completely valid. I'm not necessarily saying that I think this is a terrible idea. In essence, I think it's a terrible idea because it's half baked. And I think it's a terrible idea because, to your point, it's not geared toward this space is just not geared toward the consumer. They're going to have to redo everything. Now, people like Pete Johnson are happy to do it. Michael Herklots is another one with Nat Sherman who had similar sentiments. We got to support the industry, and I applaud them.
Yeah.
And I hope that they can get more people on board with this. Rocky Patel was actually the designated manufacturer that spoke was on stage, was the right hand to Scott Pierce about this. Christian Iroh was up there as well. And so, I mean, there are manufacturers, big manufacturers, Pete, Herklots, Iroha, and Patel. These are not nobodies. These are not boutique guys. These are major players in the industry. Yeah. And they got support. They rallied and got some good support. But they have a bigger challenge of getting the majority of these people involved and getting them just as excited as they are. If not excited, fake it till you make it, baby, because they got to do it. Yeah. They got to get it done. And I'm all for improving this industry. I'm all for generating excitement. I'm all for consumer awareness because there just isn't that much out there.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times do you walk into a humidor, and in y'all's case, because y'all don't work in the retail space, I do. How many times have you overheard someone walk in and say, "Hey, where are your Cubans?" Consumer ignorance is rampant in this industry, and I'm not calling consumers idiots. I'm not saying that. There just isn't a good education outlet out there.
Right.
There just really isn't. And if this can be the foundation for that, sign me up.
Yeah, I agree.
The way that it's being presented right now is there's just so many questions, and it's just not for it.
Yeah, it's got to be rolled out with care and attention to detail.
My idea has always been, because again, let's talk about consumer education. This is the theme, right? This is what they're driving to. This is the point of CigarCon, right? Is educating the consumer, engaging with the consumer, bringing the consumer in. There are hundreds of amazing consumer events around the country. Rocky Mountain Cigar Festival, the Great Smoke, the Big Smokes. Yep. All these are consumer. Engage with them there.
Exactly.
Show your ass up and so, hey, we're PCA. We're the ones that represent the industry, and we're going to show you how we're going to guarantee to keep your cigars where you want them, in your humidor.
Exactly. Yeah.
Join us in the fight. Here's what the fight's all about. Here's what the FDA is saying. Here's what this is saying. By the way, and here's a beer.
Yeah.
You want to have some fun with it too.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of opportunity for them to do it.
Yeah.
In more appropriate avenues. I just don't agree that this is it. Now, if they pull it off, look, I'll be the first one to say that I was wrong, and I'll be the first one to cheer them on. I want this industry to go forward. I don't want to be pissed about it. Far from it.
Yeah.
I want to be excited about this, but I'm just not.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think it has the potential to be a great thing, but I'm getting the sense early on that it is not being given the attention to detail that is required, and that could end up being detrimental and having the opposite effect that they're hoping for.
If they get 22, the half that you talked about, Matt, if they get 22, it's a tremendous success.
I agree.
I won't mention that at all. I won't mention the number 4,500 at all next year.
Yeah.
If 2,200 consumers show up, I will see that as an incredible positive, and absolutely. I will applaud them for it. It'll be a beautiful thing.
So what do you think the biggest potential benefit to the cigar industry is to having a CigarCon?
Consumer awareness, consumer education.
Yeah, I agree.
Having
having a better informed consumer, I think it's better all around.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins because you're better informed about the process of where the products come from and the whole process behind creating these products, and you get every business is all about relationships, but there's something about the premium cigar industry that is more so. It is so relationship driven, and if you can build a more person to person relationship with your consumer, you're going to be better off. And if they're able to pull it off with CigarCon, I will applaud it, and I will eat a plate full of crow.
Absolutely, give me 2 plates, Matt.
Yeah. And obviously that next question is what is the biggest risk to the potential risk of having CigarCon?
That I'm right.
That it falls on its face.
It falls on its face.
Yeah, that's exactly my opinion too.
Instead of 4,500, it's actually that number 4,500.
Yeah,
which is a lot of people. Don't get me wrong. That they don't have, that it's not organized.
Right.
Consumers go home disappointed. Here's the thing we're not talking about, guys. They were emphatic about this point. This is not going to be a trick or treat event. They will not be trick or treating. They will not be Okay. Look, if I'm a consumer, and consumer education is something that we all agree is lacking, and my understanding of the cigars trade show is an ignorant one, and I understand that people go and they come back with goodie bags full of cigars. Well, I want that. Now they're opening up to consumers. Sign me up. I want that.
Yeah.
And if I come home with 30 sticks and, I'm just pulling this with all due respect, I'm pulling this because it's a well-respected brand. But if I come back with a Arturo Fuente short story and a Rocky Patel in 1992 and an Ashton White and throughout a cigar that's really popular, that's been around for a while, a Macanudo, or even Drew Estate Nica Rustica.
Yeah.
It's been on the market for a while. Crowned Heads 4 Kicks, not even the 4 Kicks Maduro. If I'm coming home with that, I'm sorry, I'm not going to feel wowed. I'm not going to feel all warm and touchy about it. I'm just not. So,
but if I was a manufacturer, if I was Skip and Mike, or if I was Steve Saka, or if I was Nick Melillo, I would want to save my samples of the new hotness for my retailers.
The retailers.
I'm sorry, but I would give my core brands, for lack of a better term, I would give my seasoned core brands to the consumers at CigarCon, and I would save the new hotness for my retailers, because that's what drives my business.
Did your guy Stogies on Grand, did he go to the show?
Yeah.
Okay. Go and ask him next time you're in the shop. Go and ask the guy at Stogies on Grand and say, hey, are you excited about potentially selling these tickets for PCA? And do you want to escort them? Do you want to escort me around? Ask him that.
That's where Garrett's insider info came from. Was Mark W at Stogies on Grand.
We talked about this actually tonight. I did a mini little interview and going to do a destination write up for howaboutthatcigar.com. And we talked about this particular subject kind of off the record, but his take was no idea what this is going to do.
Yeah. Nobody
knows. We have no idea. Still nothing's in stone, but from a retailer's perspective, he doesn't know how it's going to affect them. He just knows it's going to be a shit show for the manufacturers that are going to have to completely redo how they approach the PCA event. And so there's just so many unknowns.
Yeah. Right. Well, and Barrett, you hit the nail on the head a little bit ago when you said about driving business. The retailers, their number one question, the reason that they do things like spend the money on going to the trade show, the reason that the manufacturers spend the money on going to the trade show is they do a cost benefit analysis. Is this going to drive my business? And if the answer is no, I'm not going to do it. because it's not going to drive my business. It's not personal. It's just business.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't care about the consumers, but the way I engage with the consumers is in my shop, not at a trade show in Vegas. I engage the consumers in my shop. And the way that the manufacturers drive their business is at the trade show, interacting with the retailers and interacting with the media. And I'm talking interacting with the real media, not interacting with some guy who's got 3,000 followers on Instagram. And the retailers drive their business through their relationships in the shop.
Right. And
the manufacturers drive their business through the trade show and through their events and through their own media presence, whether they advertise in print magazines, online, whether they have their own social media following, whatever it is. But I don't think that in the end, once this experiment is played out, I think that both the manufacturers and the retailers are going to find that this does nothing to drive their business.
Right. Totally agree.
And there are better ways to engage the consumer than shoehorning in a consumer day to a yearly industry event that is meant to build those manufacturer retailer relationships. So that's my take on it.
Absolutely. So two big points on this, guys. There's already a fallout. PCA has already lost $1 million in business for next year, and here's how.
Is this? Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about.
Dave Garofalo's not coming back. So Dave Garofalo's not coming back, and he's not. So that means United's not going to be there. So that's a booth space and cigars, and support from Cigar Company. And Dave Garofalo's not bringing his $1 million that he spends every year at the trade show. $1 million, guys.
Easily $1 million. I mean, he's one of the best retailers in the country, and he moves a lot of product, and he has a lot of. I mean, everybody knows Dave Garofalo. Whether you're a consumer, if you're a consumer, then you listen to his podcast and you buy from his online presence. And if you're a manufacturer, you absolutely know Dave Garofalo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if you don't, it's because he's not buying your stuff. And you should know Dave Garofalo.
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
And so, and guys, I mean, I can't, unfortunately, I can't tell you who, but as of today still, and I confirmed it earlier today, there's a really prominent company that did not secure their booth space for next year. And they still have not gotten it.
Yeah.
And that's something that's usually done during the trade show.
Exactly.
Companies want to secure their booth space. They want to make sure they get the spot that they want the prime location or one that they can afford or a combination of the two. And so they secure their spot. And there's a very, very, very prominent company out there that did not renew during the weekend. As of today, according to my source, hasn't renewed. And I'm not putting that out there to scare anybody, and I'm not putting that out there to necessarily be a tease. But it's significant. If Dave Garofalo doesn't scare you, this other piece will. If it doesn't, maybe, and maybe they got lazy, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I don't want to speculate on the reasoning, other than just what I've heard. But
yeah,
this has rocked the industry, and this is dividing. This is pushing a divide. We do not need to be divided right now.
Yeah,
as an industry, 100%. We need to come together.
100%. You're totally right. So if you're a consumer out there, I say you should look into CigarCon. You should look into.
Prove me wrong, please. Go.
And if you can afford it, then I say go, because it is Disneyland for cigar nerds. So I say you should buy a ticket and go.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Pony it up right now. Give them your credit card. Do it. Yeah. And I'm not kidding. Go.
If you can't afford, the coin for CigarCon, find a local cigar festival and go to it. Whether it's Rocky Mountain, whether it's Brew City Cigar Fest, whether it's Big Smoke, whether it's, any of those. Just find some regional consumer cigar events and go, because it's a great time and you get to build relationships. Even if you're an introvert, just go, take a chance, get out there and meet some new people in the, cigar lovers, because it's a really great time.
Go. Just do it, please. Good God. Prove me wrong. I want to be wrong. So I have never wanted to be wrong more in my life.
Yeah. And I'm with you. I hope it all goes great, but we'll just have to wait and see. And I wish him honestly, genuinely, I wish PCA nothing but the best with this new venture. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes.
100%, man.
Well, let's shift gears away from a little bit of that and move into one of our segments that we do every week, and we like to talk about things that don't really matter.
Absolutely.
But they're interesting. They're useless facts of the week. And because of our special guest, Bear Duplessis, my useless facts this week are all about bears.
Yes.
Ooh.
Check it out.
So the first one, and this one is dicey. I did when I first found it, I said this has got to be bullshit, but it's just too interesting not to bring up. But there was back in the 1800s, there was a governor of Moscow, Russia, who, according to legend, trained a large bear to serve pepper vodka to his guests. I can't confirm it, but it just
I've heard that story. No, I've heard that story.
Too good to not bring up. I had to put that one out there.
It's fantastic. I would drink anything a bear brought me.
Right?
Yeah.
So grizzly bears, obviously they're extremely powerful animals, but I had no idea their bite strength. The grizzly bears have a bite strength of over 8 million pascals, which is strong enough to crush a bowling ball.
A little bit.
So maybe keep your distance next time you see a grizzly bear.
Just a little bit.
Take pictures from afar. This one, so one of my favorite ever since I was a little kid, the Jungle Book, the Disney animated movie, one of my favorites as a kid.
Baloo. And
Baloo the bear is actually a sloth bear, which is native to the subcontinent of India. And so his name comes from the word balu, which is the Hindi word for most bear species, basically. And their diets, and I swear I'm not making this up. They eat termites. So these sloth bears eat termites, but when they can't get their hands on termites, they eat fallen trees and mangoes, sugarcane, jackfruit, and this is the best one. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. And the pods of the golden shower tree.
Golden shower tree.
The golden shower tree. So
isn't that a movie?
I never thought I would bring up the term golden shower on the How About That Cigar podcast, but
there it is.
There it is. It's out there. I can't take it back.
Bears.
Jackfruit's really good, by the way, guys. If you've ever had the opportunity.
Jackfruit's outstanding.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
There's a little Office reference. So, because Bear is our guest, he was kind enough to take on this next segment, which is my favorite segment of the week. So, Bear, please take it away with Numero de los Muertos.
Awesome. I am so excited. This was something that I couldn't believe the number, guys. I mean, this is just ridiculous. And it's actually referenced by a couple of different publications. But so 1,200 people a year die over this article of clothing.
1,200. The number is 1,200.
Yeah. And so I know you guys had something about pants a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
But yes. So that, spoiler alert, I listened to that show, so this obviously isn't a repeat. But 1,200 people die annually because of this.
Is this just in the U.S. or is it worldwide?
From my research, it was just the United States, which is an even more frightening number.
Okay.
Is it specific to a sex?
No.
Bummer,
he says.
Well, It shot my first guess.
Oh,
Brazzer.
Brazzers. Is it underwear?
No.
No. Is it
Socks.
No, but you're in the right region.
okay? So
Shoes.
below the waist, below the knee, maybe.
Shoes.
Oh, is it shoes?
It is sneakers. It is absolutely sneakers. 1,200 people die annually over sneakers.
Sneakers? How?
Violence. People are jacked for their sneakers, man.
Are you serious?
Holy
1,200 people a year are jacked for their sneakers. In an investigative report, GQ magazine, as well as a couple of other outlets that I found yet, published this report that the surprising story that 1,200 people die over sneakers, namely over the highly coveted Air Jordans.
Right.
1,200 people in this country, guys, over shoes.
That's insane. So I know a lot of cigar guys who are big into kicks. You know,
Yeah.
Benjamin Holt
and James Brown.
And
They need to watch out.
Man, well,
or pack heat or something.
Right.
Of course, Ben's an ex-Marine, so I'm sure he's good.
Yeah, I don't think Ben has to worry, but shit, 1,200 people died just from getting their sneakers jacked.
Right?
Hey, that's,
good statistic.
That's why I wear,
New Balance.
New Balance from who knows, some online retailer that when they arrive, I just pray they fit.
1,200.
1,200 people.
Hey, just buy cheap shoes and be safe out there. I don't know.
Yep.
Or have an armed guard with you, or get
that's the new slogan. That's why
permit.
Air Jordans are so expensive. Next pair of Air Jordans you buy is going to be $500, and it comes with its own sidekick, a little 911.
Yeah, you get your SIG. It comes in the box with the kick. You get a SIG with an extra mag, and carry that along with you when you're wearing those new kicks. Be careful out there, people.
New Kimber
with the expensive shoes. Yeah, new
Yeah.
Kimber every time you buy a new pair of Nikes. Awesome. Thank you for that, Bear. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
So we finish out with notable smokables of the week. If it's cool, I'm gonna get us going. I smoked one of my favorites that I can't get enough of, but I don't smoke a lot because they're a little on the pricey side. The Arturo Fuente Don Carlos Edición de Aniversario 80th Personal Reserve Robusto. It's a super long cigar name, but it's a damn good cigar. I smoked it like 2-3 days ago, and they're always legit. It's just ridiculous. Outstandingly fantastic cigar, and I love it. And shout out to Arturo Fuente and the Fuente family, because that cigar is just fire. I love it.
And big thanks to Mark W. Just coming back from the show, and he said, "Go pick something out of my grab bag." And my first selection, he said, "No, go put that one back and go pick a different one for my grab bag."
You can pick any one except that one.
Except for your first 5 choices.
Yep. And this one he almost didn't want to let me get, but it was the new AJ Fernandez.
The Bellas Artes Maduro?
Yeah, Lancero.
Oh.
Sick.
Nice.
Sick blend, man.
Dude.
So, was it ridiculous? Yeah.
I can't even. And I this last weekend, hope everybody had a great 4th. I was up at the in-laws cabin in northern Wisconsin, and I smoked myself silly. And 888 by Lugione Lancero.
Nice.
Yeah, had a couple of those. It was a Lancero weekend. Herrera Esteli Lancero and a couple Christoph Sumatra Lanceros.
Yeah, that Sumatra's good.
So
Bear, what's something?
what do you got?
What's something special you smoked this week?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I had the great fortune of interviewing Benjamin Holt on LS Fumar Takes Take 81, and smoked his newest release, the limited edition that he's doing, the Home.
Oh, nice.
It's freaking money. It's a barber pole with Ecuadorian Maduro and Corojo on it. Sensational cigar. Really, really well done.
Awesome.
Really enjoyed that. Smoked a Diamond Crown Maduro. Don't get to do that too often, but had one. Really enjoy that cigar. Really enjoy Diamond Crown in general. JC Newman, as I mentioned way early on in the beginning of the interview, makes great cigars. So really enjoyed that. And
The Baca.
well, that was last week. That was good too. But I had a Farce Maduro, Room 101 Farce Maduro, which like I said,
That's a great cigar.
Great cigar.
I had one from a couple of years ago that I find all because I'm starting to pack my cigars, and so I've been finding stuff, and I found an old well, it's not super old, it's maybe 2-3 years old, Quesada Oro
40th?
Oro Dominicana, Connecticut. Really super mild cigar. I mean, just outrageously mild. Actually too mild for I mean, I like mild cigars, but this one was just a little it was not only mild in the body department, it was kind of lacking in the flavor department too.
I think it was aged out.
I don't think it was aged out. I think it was just it was too Dominican front.
Too Dominican.
Yeah, it was just too Dominican. It was really, really mild, kind of wispy, and just not, there wasn't much there. It was sweetness and lightness, and that was really about it. So a little disappointing, but it happens. And I smoked the last one from my last box of the original release, Cigar Dojo Roma Craft Whiskey Rebellion.
Oh,
because the new one's coming out Friday, the new Lonsdale size. Shout out to Eric and Jordan and the guys at Cigar Dojo, and Skip and Mike and all the guys at Roma Craft. Whiskey Rebellion, since that was released, and then released in additional sizes, it's maybe my favorite Roma Craft cigar, especially that little Hamilton size. But that
Hamilton's money,
that age on that original release, Cigar Dojo, which was sort of like a long Robusto, just tremendous. I smoked it yesterday, I think maybe it was, but it was outstanding. And
I'd buy the Hamiltons by a pallet, man, if I could.
Yeah, the Hamiltons are, and those, and it's great because they come in 30 count boxes. So, and it's you don't have to worry about it as much. But up here, it's nice to have a smoke that only takes 20 minutes sometimes. So excited for that release coming out on Friday from Cigar Dojo. So if you are not already a member of Cigar Dojo, become one, and you can get some early heads up on when that cigar is getting released and get your hands on it before non-members can get their hands on those. So be on the lookout for all the new stuff from IPCPR. Keep an eye out for howaboutthatcigar.com. We had a new review post today. Things have been busy, but we're trying to keep up as much as we can. But go into your brick and mortar shops, ask them for some of the new stuff that was released at IPCPR this year. Let us know on Facebook, and send us an email if you've got some favorites that you've tried recently that you want us to try. Bear, tell us a little bit before we close out. Tell us a little bit about where people can find you and what you have coming up.
So you definitely want to check out my Facebook page, El Oso Fumar. You can also subscribe to my podcast, El Oso Fumar Takes. That's hashtag El Oso Fumar Takes. El Oso means bear in Spanish, people. So ELOSO, Fumar, smoke. The smoking bear, yes. El Oso Fumar Takes. Takes is in English, yes, I realize. I'm mixing languages. I'm building bridges, guys.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Bringing stuff together. So El Oso Fumar Takes, hashtag El Oso Fumar Takes. You can find it wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Podbean, Spotify, TuneIn, whatever you want. I have some amazing guests like you, Matt, who graced me with being on my show earlier this year. I just interviewed Benjamin Holt of Dissident and Black Label Black Work Studio. Great interview, fantastic guy, really unique personality, and just a passion for cigars. Love talking to him. Really unique perspective. And then I've got a couple great shows coming up, including I'm going to be having Matt Booth of Room 101. He'll be on the show here in a couple weeks, as well as Nick Jimenez of Cigar Snob Magazine. Klaus Kellner will be back for the second time on my show of Davidoff Cigars. That'll be next month.
Nice.
As well, and I'm talking to some other folks. We will have some other guests out shortly. But you can go back and listen to all of my takes or watch them all on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is El Oso Fumar, just like my Facebook page. So yeah, great stuff, great stories, man. We could nerd out on wrapper, binder, filler all day, but my goal is to really bring the unique stories and perspectives from some of these industry folk, and really bring that to light and stuff, because everyone has a story, man, and it's my privilege to tell it.
Nice.
That's right.
Well, we appreciate what you do, and we wish you best of luck in the future. Stay in touch, and we will, we'll gather again together one of these days and have you back on the show. And so, guys, keep an eye out on howaboutthatcigar.com. And keep an eye on our Facebook page. Keep an eye on Instagram. We'll have some new things coming out. And if you have any questions, shoot us questions on the Facebook page, or sign up especially for email alerts. Go to the bottom of the homepage on howaboutthatcigar.com, type in your email address and hit submit, and you will get emails every time we have new content coming out. And until then, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for listening and watching. And as always, burn cigars,
not bridges.
Take care.
Happy birthday, Matt.
Hey,
Happy birthday, Matt.
thanks, guys. Take care.